This is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
All right, here we go. It is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C., a sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. The holidays are upon us, and it is looking good for football and the NBA. And who knows, Major League Baseball might be fun as well. We're seeing a lot of moves in regards to some new managers and things of that nature. So who knows, we might be able to move forward with baseball seamlessly after all. But let's start here. So last night, we had a couple of games take place because, as we know, COVID has reared its ugly head. Seahawks against the Rams. The Rams, of course, took care of business 20-10. But here's the thing about this game. The Rams, first and foremost, offensively looked bad. And over the last few weeks, and I've watched the last few games for the Rams, they haven't really looked that good, to be honest. Offensively, they haven't looked that good. Defensively, they haven't looked that good. Look, I think if the Seahawks would have ran the ball more and kept running the ball, they would have had more success, had bigger gains, and they would have eventually pounded that defense into the sand, and they could have did clock management, ran the ball, stayed consistent, owned the second half, and they could have won that game against the Rams. Now, arguably, there is the questionable pass interference that was not, but it was, and it should have been called when it wasn't, and that did turn the tide of the game. And it's amazing because, you know, the referees, they did their thing on a couple of third downs for the Rams. They got some first downs on some calls that are questionable, one of them legitimate, one of them questionable in regards to extending the drive, and it happened to be a drive where the Rams went down the field and they scored. I've often said I'm tired of the referees determining how the games go, how the momentum of the game is going to go, what the game flow was actually going to be with their whistles determining all of this stuff. And it continued to happen again last night. There are some that have made the argument that the Seahawks could have scored on that drive, and they very well could have, because it would have got them deep into Rams territory if they would have called that pass interference. I could easily agree with that argument that the Seahawks would have went down and probably scored a touchdown based on the momentum that the Seahawks had at that point in the game. However, the momentum was then taken away because then you later on had another penalty where it deflated the defense because they would have got off the field, but instead a drive was extended. Rams go down and score. So again, referees determining winners and losers, game flow, momentum of games, all with timely whistles. And that's the problem with it. It's timely whistles. It's not that it's happening on first down and second down. It's always on third down where they either should be extending a drive legitimately or they should not be extending a drive with an illegitimate call. And it seems consistent that these are the problems that continue to happen with the referees. Now, again, you get co-hosts and hosts like Colin Cowherd and his co-hosts that sit there and they make fun of fans because they're mad and they're frustrated because that obviously was a pass interference call. Even the commentators in last night's games agreed. And yet Colin Cowherd just says it's not the referee's fault that the Seahawks lost. They had plenty of opportunities. You know, that's the stupidest thing and the stupidest comment that he continuously makes about you had plenty of opportunities. When you have an opportunity and it gets blown by a referee, you can't tell me that it doesn't make a difference when then the other team gets the benefit of a call that wasn't even a legitimate call that extended a drive that would and should have been stopped, and they go down the field and score. So your argument, Colin Cowherd, has absolutely zero merit. And then you go off on tangents and you change the subject just a little bit and tweak it to try and make it seem like you're proving a point, and you sound so educated and you sound so smart when all you're doing is getting off the point and talking about something that has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you miss a call for the Seahawks when the Seahawks had the momentum and probably would have went down and scored a touchdown. And then you extend a drive with the Rams when at that point they had no momentum offensively and they wouldn't have scored because it would have been fourth down and they would have been forced to punt and the Seahawks would have got the ball back. So when you extend a drive illegitimately and you legitimately miss a pass interference call that would have extended a drive like it should have, and the Seahawks probably would have scored, You can't say that these things do not matter. They do. Momentum's changed. And again, the winners are determined by these bad calls and missed bad calls. So for you to say that fans are just whining about absolutely nothing shows just how out of touch you are. And believe me, you are out of touch on a lot of things, including all the political comments that you make on your show as well. But we won't talk about that right now. But what we will talk about is, again, Seahawks, while it looks like they didn't play very well, if you look at the box score, they really did. That defense is getting better every week. I could make the argument the coaching is getting better. I could make the argument Russell Wilson obviously is getting better. He was missing one of his star receivers last night that probably would have made a catch that one of his receivers missed last night in a 50-50 ball. So again, the Seahawks had a fighting chance. Yes, they did. Refs helped them blow that game. Unfortunately, this is another one of those games where I have to say the referees determined who the winner was. Not that the Rams aren't the better team. Maybe they would have pulled it out, but it would have been a lot closer. The Seahawks should have got a more fair shake in the deal. They didn't. And again, maybe if those calls went the way they were supposed to, maybe the Seahawks actually would have upset the Rams and won the game because the Seahawks are playing better. That defense is getting better. The offense is getting better. Russell Wilson, you can tell his hand is getting better. And as a team, they're playing better. The coaching is better. So for everybody, because this goes to the next topic, that is trying to say that Russell Wilson is not going to be a Seahawk next year and they're going to get rid of Coach Carroll because Coach Carroll can't coach and he's not getting it done. That wasn't Coach Carroll last night. That was Coach Carroll being a victim of circumstances, and those circumstances was bad referee calls, and there have been a lot of games like that. And now you have players that are now saying the exact same thing that I've been saying all season long. And I'm going to look those up and get to some of those players tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I was going to try and get to it today, but I didn't have enough time. But I will get to it tomorrow because now you even have players that are finally coming out and complaining about the bad refereeing that has been going on all season long. And it is absolutely egregious. And again, I could easily make the argument, and anybody else who makes the argument I would agree with, that the bad refereeing in last night's game could have been what cost the Seahawks the game because the Seahawks were definitely playing well enough to win. Look, there was 8 minutes left to go in the game, and the game was tied at 10-10. So now you add in the bad referee calls, the timely bad referee calls, and that blows up Colin Cowherd's generic argument about how fans are just crying about absolutely nothing. No, that late in the game, those egregious of calls, that cost the momentum of the game and gave the momentum to the Rams, and it made it easier for the Rams to walk away with a win in the game. So absolutely not. When Colin Cowherd makes the mistake of saying that the Seahawks had plenty of opportunities. Everybody has plenty of opportunities, but everybody also knows if they use common sense and if they actually watch sports, that games go down to the final minutes in order to determine winners a lot of the times. But when it comes down to the final minutes and what's determining the winner isn't actually the players, it's the referees, that is a problem. There is no ifs, ands, or buts or any way to end around that. When we all know, again, Colin Cowherd, that sports go down to the last minute and you have a referee making not one, but several blown calls in the final quarter of a game, that is going to ultimately probably be what determines who's going to win the game. That is an easy argument for me to win. There's absolutely zero way for you, Colin Cowherd, to win that argument against me. Because you could talk about all the, little stories you want to tell to make it sound cute, to make it sound like, oh, you're so intelligent. Oh, you're so smart. But at the end of the day, people with common sense, which is 90% of America, know that when you have bad calls in the final minutes of a game, and they are egregious calls, and they're the wrong calls, they are obviously going to determine who is going to have the momentum and probably going to determine who's going to win the game. There is no disputing that. Moving on to Washington and Philadelphia. In the beginning of this game, because I didn't get to watch it, I'm over on the West Coast, right? In the beginning of this game, I didn't think that the Eagles were going to pull it out. I saw Washington up 7-0. I saw Washington up 10-0. I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. Eagles are calling it in, folding, walking into the stadium thinking that they had a cakewalk, and now they're getting their butts kicked. But a lot of people talked about it. I watched the highlights of the game. Jalen Hurts last night had a maturing moment. He turned the team and the game around and found a way to win, pound the ground, going back to what they've been doing that they've been so successful at over the past few weeks. And they pounded the ground, and he pounded the ground. His arm, because of it, was able to be shown off last night, and he put on a display, and the Eagles ended up with a 27-17 victory over the Washington football team. Look, he could have called it a day and said, look, here we go again. It's over. But instead, he willed his team to victory, and he got his team in the right frame of mind, playing the right type of football, and he himself played the right type of football, ran when needed to, threw when needed to, ran outside the pocket, found the open receiver. He did it all. He did everything you would want a quarterback to do. He did a great job. And I know the question, and we're going to be talking about it in the offseason, I'm sure, because the national sports media loves to create drama where there absolutely is none, just like they're talking about Russell Wilson leaving Seattle, and no, he's not. Just like they're going to talk about Jalen Hurts. Should he stay the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? Yes, he should. He's showing in one season, he's matured, he's getting it down, and who knows? They might even backdoor win their way into the playoffs. I don't know that it's going to happen for sure. They definitely got a shot, and as long as Jalen keeps playing the way he's been playing and the team keeps playing the way they've been playing, they have a shot, and they might even be able to win a playoff game or two. They might be able to surprise some people because of the style of football that they're playing. So again, I would not count out the Philadelphia Eagles, and to immediately dispel the conversation that the national media is going to try and talk about all offseason long. Should Jalen Hurts be the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? It is an absolute positive yes. There is no dispute there. None. Gardner Minshew's good, and he probably should go somewhere else so he could be a starting quarterback somewhere else. Gardner Minshew is good. And I said that Jalen Hurts was going to have to win his way back in to the starting quarterback position. He did that last night. He absolutely did that last night. Again, Eagles over Washington 27-17. All right, the other thing I want to talk about today is let's go down the coaching list. Let's talk about coaches. Are they doing the job, not doing the job? Should they get replaced? What does the national media think in regards to these coaches? Let's start with the Green Bay Packers, and we're just going to go through all 32. All right, you got Matt LaFleur. Obviously, nobody's worried about the job that he's doing with the Packers. He has a movement in the right direction. He's even got Aaron Rodgers in check. Aaron's not bringing up crazy stories and talking about getting traded and what a bad job management's doing. Obviously, he is coaching up the field and outside the field as well. And again, Matt LaFleur, he's safe without a doubt. Andy Reid, what can you say about Andy Reid? He already was a great coach, and he's doing it. He's got Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback. They're 10-4. They're currently number one, I believe, in the AFC right now currently. There's no way Andy Reid's going to have anything to worry about there. Bruce Arians, I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is. I don't think he's as good as the national media thinks he is. He's not a quarterback whisperer. To me, that's the biggest joke in the world. I've had that conversation too many times with too many people, but Bruce Arians is not a quarterback whisperer. That is an absolute joke. The quarterbacks that he's had were already great. He didn't make Andrew Luck great. He didn't make Ben Roethlisberger great. He didn't make Tom Brady great. He didn't make Carson Palmer great. Carson Palmer had sparks of greatness, but sparks. He was a spurty quarterback. He was hot and he was cold. He just happened to get him when he was on a hot streak, and it didn't even last that long to begin with. So Bruce Arians, quarterback whisperer, is a joke. But again, seat's cold. He's winning. When you win, you don't have to worry. Mike McCarthy. National media, there's a lot of guys, they don't have any faith in him. They don't believe in him. They don't think he is the coach to take the Cowboys the distance. I disagree. It's about the players. Mike McCarthy's already won a Super Bowl, so obviously he knows how to do it. It's about the players. The problem that the Cowboys have is who they got at quarterback and the rest of the so-called stars that the Dallas Cowboys claim to have and think they have. They're not going to get it done just simply because they don't have as good of a wide receiver group as they think they do. That running back room is weaker than everybody thinks. They're not even top 10, in my opinion. They're right outside the top 10. They're good. They're not great. So Mike McCarthy is not the problem. His seat is cold. He's perfectly fine. National media agrees. Bill Belichick, really? Do we even need to have a conversation? Rookie quarterback, and he has his team 9-5 already. Arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time, and he's showing you why. Sean McVay, obviously doing well. No worries there. Team's built to win now. But all this talk about the team built to win now, they have to do it now. If they don't do it this season, ownership, management's going to be all mad. No, they're not. What are they going to do? Fire Sean McVay? Are you serious? They'll just come back next year. There's a lot of things that happened to the Rams this year. First and foremost, the number one argument I could make is it's the first year with this group of guys together. Year number 2, normally it gets better. If they don't do it this year, so what? It's not a letdown. It's just the national media wanted to overhype it. And it's amazing how they wanted to overhype it about a quarterback that none of them had confidence in to begin with. And now all of a sudden they're all talking about him as if they all thought he was going to come here and be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But in reality, when the preseason was going on and the trade was made, they weren't all jumping up and down about it, saying this was the move. This is now the time for the Rams. It's not what they were saying at all. All they were talking about was how the Rams had no confidence in Goff. Arizona Cardinals, Kingsbury. Look, Cardinals are falling apart. They did the same thing last year. Cardinals have always been a team to be patient. So Kingsbury, even if they don't make the playoffs, which they probably will, but even if they didn't make the playoffs, will be fine. He was going to be fine no matter what. And nobody had really any expectations for the Cardinals to begin with. They're exceeding expectations, so he's perfectly fine. Vrabel, Titans, doing a great job. Coaching up a team that's winning games they have no business winning. No concerns there. Sean McDermott, well, you know, he doesn't really, according to the national media, have a hot seat. I don't think that, you know, he does have a hot seat. I think he should. I think that this guy is a failure as a coach. You allegedly, because I don't agree with, you know, the way that they rate his quarterback. I don't think Josh Allen is as good as everybody says, and I don't think that defense is as good as everybody says. But I also don't think they're coached up as good as they could be either. But if you look on paper, and if you agree that they're as good on paper as they are on the field, then I would say, why are you not looking at Sean McDermott? Because, again, this is a team that had high expectations, and they're not performing. They're not. Indianapolis Colts, Frank Wright doing a great job. He had a quarterback situation. He had to get him healthy. Got him healthy, but then you had to wonder mentally, when was he going to fall in line mentally where he was physically? It happened. Jonathan Taylor, breakout player, breakout year, arguably an MVP candidate, doing it. So is Frank Reich in any trouble with his job in Indianapolis? Absolutely not. Here's a big one for me. Kyle Shanahan. Well, national media seems to think that he's got a cool seat. I tend to think that he doesn't. Look, in the beginning of the year, he changed his coaching style. They stopped with the pre-snap movement, pre-snap reads. Everything was just, 3-step drops, 5-step drops, throw. They were a throw first, run second team, changing what they were to a throwing team. Put a lot on the shoulders of an injured Jimmy Garoppolo. Then you bring in your rookie. He gets injured, and he didn't seem to really honestly know how to work his rookie. Couldn't decide whether you wanted him to be a running quarterback or a throwing quarterback, a pocket quarterback, or move outside the pocket, which they didn't do at all with him. And then you bring in Jimmy G, and you kept him locked in the pocket as well for a while. And then all of a sudden, you go back to what you were doing previous years, and now you're winning games. Something's going on with Kyle Shanahan. Don't know what it is. It's not the injuries. It's not the roster. And again, he didn't know how to use his rookie quarterback when he brought him in. And he probably, in all honesty, did, if you look at it, a bad job in regards to his rookie quarterback and his current quarterback in regards to what the usage was going to be, how he was going to use them. it was probably a bad idea. Like most people said in the beginning, I wasn't one of them. I agreed with what he was doing, but then he went overboard. And I'll get to that in a minute, what I mean. But the bottom line is, bringing in your rookie quarterback and using him for 1 or 2 plays and then going back to your veteran quarterback, a lot of people said that's disruptive. It's not good for the team. It's not good for the morale. It's not good for your starting quarterback. And I didn't agree, but that's what they said. Right now, they're looking like they're right because, again, once you stop doing that, but of course, you stopped because your rookie got hurt. But once you stop doing that and Jimmy Garoppolo became the man from beginning whistle to final whistle, you've been winning games. You also, again, changed your play calling, went back to what you guys were doing before style-wise, and now all of a sudden you're winning games. Again, because it seems like you changed what you were doing because you wanted to use a lot of the movement and the pre-snap and all the stuff you were doing before for your rookie quarterback and use Garoppolo as a drop-back quarterback, and maybe it's because you thought that's how you'd keep him healthy. I don't know, but that's one theory. Maybe you thought it's because you'd keep him healthy if you did that, but at the end of the day, it didn't work. I think what you were doing was fine. The problem is, but then you were doing it too much, and you were doing it at questionable times. So there is a way to do what Shanahan wanted to do. He just went about it the wrong way. And then again, the argument on the other side is he should have never done it at all. I don't know. You could go potato on this deal all day long. But at the end of the day, Shanahan went back to what's always worked, and it's working. Right now, according to them, his seat's cool. I can make the argument if they don't at least get to the NFC Championship, I think he's not going to get fired, but he's going to get put on notice. Then you've got the LA Chargers coach, Brandon Staley. He's fine. Look, the Chargers are what the Chargers are. They're doing what they've always done. Nobody had real big expectations for them. Quarterback's only 2 years in. He's doing good, looking great. Justin Herbert looks like he's going to be a good one. You're going to have to wait a couple of years to see what Brandon Staley can do. Because, again, 2 years in with what was a rookie quarterback, now is a second-year quarterback, and he's really having a great year in year number 2, means you're developing him right. So you're showing you have coaching ability. So, again, Brandon Staley, safe with the Chargers. John Harbaugh, what can be said about this guy? Baltimore Ravens have no business even being competitive, let alone winning all the games they've won. Now, granted, he's made 2 out of the last 3 weeks' losses fall on his shoulders because of 2-point conversions. One of them was understood. He had no secondary, no one to play secondary. Going to overtime would have been bad. Last week, I think it was a mistake. You should have taken the extra point, and you should have took your chances in overtime. There was nothing wrong defensively with your staff, as far as I know. Your roster was fine. There was no issue. You shouldn't have took the loss like that because it knocked you out of the playoffs. You went from being number 1 in your division to being out of the playoffs in one game. That's a bad risk to take. I wouldn't have took it. I don't agree with it. I don't want to hear about analytics, but Harbaugh has these players on the roster because you're missing like 17 players. He has these players on the roster playing above their skill set, playing uniform football, playing hard, right in every game, never getting blown out. Starting quarterback wasn't even there. Used a backup last week. So again, I could make the argument, I guess, maybe that he went for the 2 instead of the extra point to try and escape without getting anybody else injured and playing an extra quarter. And that's almost understandable, except there was too much on the line. That's the reason why you don't make that call. But again, he has his team playing at a skill set that, in all honesty, they don't own. They don't have any business playing, and it's all because he's coaching them up the right way. John Harbaugh is a proven coach, and he has proven it again this year. And Baltimore still has a great shot at making the playoffs, and they probably will. I think they will. But if they do, it's going to all be due to the coaching of John Harbaugh. He's perfectly fine. Cincinnati Bengals, Zach Taylor. There's some people that are saying his seat is warm. I don't know why. You have quarterback play that is up and down. You've got play from other players that's up and down. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to get rid of the coach. Just means you need to shore up some issues. You take the offseason, you watch some deep film, you look at the analytics, you go over it with your coaching staff over the summer, you figure out what you want to work on in minicamp, some moves you want to make in regards to maybe some trades, maybe some acquisitions, and then, of course, you look at the draft. So I think Cincinnati's in a good position, whether they do or don't make the playoffs. I don't think Zach Taylor's seat should be hot, but the national media seems to believe currently that it's warm. Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin. Seat's cold, according to the national media. I say, look, when's the last time you guys made a serious playoff run? Might be time to make a change. Sometimes making that change is the best thing in the world for you. I get it. Pittsburgh likes to be loyal. They did the same thing with Ben Roethlisberger. They should have made that move a long time ago as well. He's one of the reasons why they're not making playoff runs. He is one of the main reasons why they're not making playoff runs. But you also got to blame Mike Tomlin for not complaining, saying he needs to make a move quarterback-wise. So I'm not saying his seat should be hot, but I think it should be warm because, again, they haven't been a serious contender in a long time. So, yeah, you win games. Yeah, you never have 500 seasons, but so what? If you're not getting to the playoffs and making a threat to running to the Super Bowl, so what? Same reason why they should have got rid of Big Ben a long time ago. Doesn't matter. Brian Flores. National media seems to think it's a cool seat. I don't think it's a cool seat. I think it should be a hot seat, and I think it should be a hot seat because you're talking about getting rid of Tua, but you're not talking about getting rid of the coach. This coach hasn't shown me he knows how to coach. Isn't it ironic that for the second year in a row, in the second half of the season, the team gets hot, and then next year they're going to come back and they're going to be cold again like they were this year? This guy doesn't know how to coach. He's not a consistent coach. Tua is what's carrying this team. And it's Tua alone, I believe, that is carrying this team. And it's the team's desire to win that is carrying this team. I don't believe in this coach at all. He doesn't have a history. He comes from Bill Belichick tree, where everybody so far has been nothing but a failure. So what makes you think this guy also doesn't need to join that tree of failures? Because he's not doing anything special. I don't see it. And the Dolphins probably won't even make the playoffs again. And you want to give this guy another year? Maybe you give him 1 year and you make the seat warm. I personally think it should be hot, but I at least think it should be warm. National media seems to think it's cool. New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton, yeah, he's never going to go anywhere unless he decides he wants to go somewhere. A lot of people, myself included, think that he might, in the back of his mind, be thinking it might be time for a change. And sometimes change is good. And I think it might be because I don't see this organization making the right moves because look at who they're trying to slide into quarterback now. Sean Hill's, he's not a quarterback. He's not. Folks, he is not a starting quarterback. I think they need to, or I should say he needs, Sean Payton needs to look and make a decision as to whether New Orleans is going to be able to make the moves to keep him having a shot at success, because I'm not convinced they're going to make the moves and that they even know what the moves are. Again, they're trying to slide the wrong guy into the position of quarterback right now as we speak. Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski. Look, we all know the problem lies in one person and one person only. And that's the quarterback. He's the problem. He's the Achilles heel. He's the reason why that offense can't run. You have the defense, and I think you got the coaching staff. Quarterback, I think it's time for a change. I don't know if they're going to have the guts to make that change, or if nothing else, maybe you give the quarterback Baker Mayfield 1 more year. But I honestly would make the move now. But if they want to give Baker 1 more year, that's fine too. But Kevin Stefanski, he's fine. Mike Zimmer, everybody since the beginning of the season said his seat is hot. I think he's a good coach. I think this team is a good team. I think they could be better, but sometimes you find teams that they're always there, they're always fighting, they're in the game all the way to the last minute, some way, somehow, instead of finding a way to win, they lose. There are always going to be those teams where that happens, but eventually things fall in line. I think they continue to give it more time, get some more offseason acquisitions, make a move. If you want to, you don't have to, but make a move if you want to in the quarterback position. Because, again, the Achilles heel is the quarterback. They can only go as far as Kirk Cousins can take them. And I don't know how far he can because, again, he's streaky. He's hot. He's cold. And when he's cold, he's cold. And when he's hot, he's hot. But at some point, you're going to catch him getting really hot in the playoffs. And with Mike Zimmer as a coach, And a defensive gem coach as he is, you can win all the way to the top if you can catch Kirk Cousins getting hot at the right time. And at some point, folks, he's going to get hot during the playoffs if you give him the opportunity. Now, first, they got to get there. And first, you got to get him to play more consistent and better during the regular season. But again, Zimmer just has to go look at his little pot of stew, figure out what ingredients are missing so he can sprinkle it in the offseason. And next year, I'll make the argument that Minnesota probably is going to be a team to watch out for because defensively, they're stout, they're good, they're tough. But like any defense, when you spend too much time on the field because your quarterback and your offense is making you spend too much time on the field, you're going to get wore out. It's just the way it works. Denver Broncos, Vic Fangio, he's got a warm seat. I think the general manager should have a warm seat or a hot seat because they haven't got the quarterback right, and the quarterback is the problem. Now, there are a lot of people that are trying to say, oh, don't worry, Denver fans, Aaron Rodgers is going to be your quarterback next year. I don't know where they're getting this information from. Again, national media loves to tell stories, loves to make drama where there is none, loves to tell stories that don't exist, hoping that it'll come to fruition so that they look like they had something credible when they were talking about it. But this is just a pipe dream. This is just a team that they see that if a quarterback can get plugged in, they believe they can win. And so they're saying Aaron Rodgers would be an obvious fit. But I haven't heard anything or seen any reports that are actually credible to say that Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to the Denver Broncos like the national media is trying to make you believe. But with that being said, Vic Fangio, his seat is warm. I think they should look at removing the general manager. You know what? What can you say about Las Vegas? They don't have a coach. So, Rich Bisaccia, should he keep his job as the interim coach? No, they got to go find somebody. And who knows? There's a lot of things that could happen. I think Tuesday is the day when they can start talking to all of the candidates that are on other teams, whether they're playing or not. So who knows? Vegas, obviously going to do their diligence. A coaching search is going to happen. I don't think Rich Bisaccia is going to keep the job, and I don't think he should. Washington football team, Ron Rivera. He's fine. He's doing great. Backup quarterback. They made a mistake, however, with who their starting quarterback was going to be to begin with. So they've got to review that in the offseason because, look, Taylor Heineke, he's nice, but he's not a starting quarterback. He's good. He can come in. He can win you some games, be a great backup, but he's not going to get you the promised land. They have to do a quarterback search this offseason. But with that being said, Ron Rivera's done a great job with very little. There's no reason for him to have a warm or a hot seat. National media agrees. He's got a cool seat. Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni. He's fine. Doing a great job. Developing Jalen Hurts. Team's playing good. Questionable in the beginning of the season, but he got it going. No doubt he's perfectly fine over there. Atlanta, Arthur Smith. I don't know why this guy has a cold seat. Atlanta has been horrible for a while. This year, I didn't see anything that showed me any promise from this team. Arthur Smith, they say his seat is cold. I think his seat should be warm to hot. Pete Carroll, perfectly fine. You got an injured quarterback. He just came back. Took a couple of weeks to get into the rhythm. They got into the rhythm. That defense is getting better. He's showing you improvements. He's showing you he knows what he's doing. He's showing you he's still as good as he's always been. Despite what the national media wants you to believe and all the garbage they're trying to spew about he's going to get removed and that nobody believes him anymore. And Russell Wilson doesn't want to be there. Pete Carroll's going to be there, so he's going to request a trade in the offseason. That's all hypothetical. Again, trying to make drama where there is none. National media is a lot like regular media, trying to create drama where there is none. Pete Carroll, perfectly fine. Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule. They say he has a warm seat. You know what? I don't know. I think one more year, and let's see if he's able to do anything. I mean, you got to understand, he's got Sam Darnold, and I believe they extended Sam Darnold, which is a mistake. So maybe you need to look at the general manager first before you look at Matt Rule. But I think Matt Rule's done a great job. I think the team, right now they don't look good, but I would say that's more because they don't believe in Cam than anything. Because how can you? Offensively, how can you believe in a quarterback that can't deliver the simple passes? Let's face it. Cam Newton is a shell of a starting quarterback. He looks absolutely horrific. I wouldn't even have him out there any longer. I would have benched him. Maybe that's why Matt Rule is in trouble, because he hasn't benched him yet. But I would have benched him already. Joe Judge, he should have been fired a long time ago. This guy has been nothing, first of all, but a special teams coach. And for you to think a special teams coach can come in and be a head coach, I get it. It worked out for Harbaugh, but Harbaugh comes from a tree of football people and a football family. I don't know anything about Joe Judge. I don't think he comes from a football family like Harbaugh does. And he definitely doesn't show that he has football knowledge like Harbaugh does. It's time to fire him. Time to get rid of their coach. Time to get rid of their general manager. Time to get rid of their quarterback. And that quarterback, don't even get me started on that. I think we'll do that in an upcoming episode as well. We'll go down the quarterbacks list the way we're going down the coaching list now. Matt Nagy, he's fired. We all know it. Nothing really to discuss there. He's done a horrible job. Dan Campbell, great job in Detroit. Just beat the Arizona Cardinals. Not that that's saying much because the Cardinals right now, let's face it, they're no good. They're not very good. They're not playing very well. Great roster, but the Cardinals aren't playing very well. But Detroit playing above their skill set, competing. If they have a great offseason, watch out. Detroit could be something. Houston, David Culley. Yeah, he needs to be fired. Houston's been bad for a while. I get it. You don't have Deshaun Watson, but that quarterback you got looks good. And I can make the argument there are times when he looks better than Deshaun Watson. So you're not winning games, and I don't know that your team's playing hard for you either. So David Culley, if he gets fired, I'm all in. Makes sense to me. Robert Saleh. This is a guy that everybody says his seat is cold. Look, he should be fired. This guy's been miserable, absolutely miserable as a head coach. Great defensive coordinator, obviously coming from San Francisco 49ers. He is horrible as a head coach. I haven't seen anything from the Jets that tells me the future looks bright. And then, of course, Jacksonville. Well, they've got to find a coach. There's no doubt about it. They've got to find a coach. So their search is on. They'll find one, and we'll see who they come up with because, again, a lot of question marks in regards to the coaches that go to work for Jacksonville. So we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. All right, so that does it for today's episode. You guys have a great day. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, and we will talk tomorrow.